Hi, I am Melly Rentas, licensed therapist in the state of Florida and lifelong Christian. I'm here to answer your questions on motherhood and mental health from both a perspective that is biblical as well as professional. Today's question asks, will the anxiety ever get better? And will the panic attacks come back? So, number one, will anxiety ever get better? It absolutely does. If you have been around a while, right? If you've lived a long life, you've noticed possibly that usually you'll have seasons of high stress or high anxiety, and then seasons where it just kind of calms down and mellows out. You start to gain some wisdom, some perspective, maybe incorporate some good health, self-care, and things start to sort of settle down. With panic attacks, it's interesting, but more often than not, what makes panic attacks come back consistently is the fear of having a panic attack. So at the very root of both just general anxiety and then panic disorder and panic attacks is a mindset that shift that really needs to happen in order to really take control of your thoughts and take control of your feelings too, because anxiety is related to your mood. And in order to take control of these mood disorders, what we do as therapists, usually, what I do as a therapist, I guess I should say, better said, is an approach called cognitive behavioral therapy, which has to do with your thoughts and your emotions and then your habits or behaviors and how they're all tied together in either moving you towards your goal of being at peace and calm or away from your goal and keeping you stuck in that anxious loop, right? So really getting to the center of that is so important. And with anxiety in general, the main thing that I teach my clients is, what are these common mental mistakes that you might be struggling with that are keeping you in that sort of anxious loop? And, you kind of want to get off the hamster wheel after a while, you're just exhausted and you're ready for a change, right? And so that's what a therapist, a cognitive behavioral therapist, will do with you. And it's really important when you work with a counselor or a therapist that they don't just guide you and tell you what not to think, because our brains don't really work that well. We cannot picture ourselves not doing something. So if I tell you, when people make New Year's resolutions and they say, I'm going to stop smoking, right? Mentally, your brain, all it does is picture you smoking, because your brain doesn't picture you not doing something unless you reword that statement in your mind. Some people can do that automatically. Maybe they've learned that skill already. But what you want to do is, what you want to do and ask yourself is, what do I want to do instead, right? And with thinking, you want to ask yourself, what do I want to think instead? And that's where a good, solid therapist will help you learn how to develop rational alternatives, or in other words, truth-filled alternatives to supplement the anxious thoughts that are usually not rational, not truthful. And that's what's keeping you in this sort of very stressed out, anxious state. So I hope you found that helpful. A couple more things to consider, just to give some more practical advice in this video, is you may want to consider laying off caffeine if you happen to consume a lot of caffeine and you lean towards anxious and you're having panic attacks. Or they could be anxiety attacks. I would consider lessening your caffeine or considering other supplementation to help with sustaining your energy throughout the day. Things like matcha can be really helpful because it has L-theanine, which is calming. So you do get a nice little boost of energy, but it's not like that anxious, jittery energy. It's very calm and satisfying energy. So something to think about there. And what was the other thing? Of course, exercise. Exercise is super helpful in regulating your mood, because when you exercise and you're having fun, so find something, of course, that you find fun. It could be dance, it could be going for walks, it could be weight training, it could be getting a personal trainer, it could be whatever it is that you can do, or whatever has piqued your interest in this season of life. Consider finding a way to make it happen, because exercise does release endorphins and it just really is a nice energy and mood boost. And it's just great for your overall health and wellness. As I've said before, it can help reduce inflammation and increase blood flow, alleviate pain as long as you're safe as you exercise and all that good stuff. So there's just, the benefits are endless when it comes to exercise. So when we're looking at anxiety from a holistic view, we want to deal with the psychological, the physical, and of course the spiritual. So incorporating some spiritual self-care, spiritual discipline, being intentional about carving out some time to spend with God in His Word, in prayer, biblical meditation, and all that good stuff. The Word never comes back void. There's always so much that He can pour into you. And we do it not for our own selfish ambitions, but we do it because God, number one, is worthy. And that's why we work on our spiritual discipline. And the fruit of that, the gift of that God so graciously gives us, is the peace that passes all understanding. So I would encourage you to look into that. Anyway, with that being said, that's the end of this video. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments and I will answer it in a future video.